Gorgeous musky friends, I am back again, and this time I'm doing my floral musks. So these are perfumes, some of which I think are predominantly floral and musk, and some of them are kind of slipping into that fruity floral, but still when I wear them I think of them as being more floral than fruity. And then the next video after this one will be the fruity musks, and that will also have a couple of crossovers, but they're ones that I think have real dominant fruits that kind of, to other people you might just think, oh, that's fruity. So these are the ones that I personally think, oh, that's floral. So when I think about musky florals, obviously there's a lot of perfumes that have really strong floral notes and also have musk. So what I've tried to do here, rather than being kind of quite generic about it, what I've tried to do is choose things that I think have a dense musk. So these are things that quite often I think almost smell a bit like a bar soap, or they're things that I genuinely will wear and think, whoa, that is a musk bomb, you know. I've got a couple that may be slightly lighter on the musk, but generally speaking, these are things that have an element to them that I think has a deep, thick, kind of soapy but not shampooy musk. So we're starting with basically my perfume that I think is probably the densest floral musk that I have, and this is Cerruti 1881. This, I did actually have a bigger bottle of this, but I didn't have the lid for it because it was a tester bottle that I bought when I didn't really know if I was going to love it or not. And so I just, because I wanted it in my display, because I love these bottles, I got this 30ml because I think it's so, so cute. And I've got so many perfumes, I don't need a 100ml bottle of anything really. But anyway, so Cerruti 1881, this is a flower bomb without actually smelling like real flower bomb, which I don't like. It smells like a really fancy bar soap, like a really fancy light pink floral bar soap. This has, it's got so many notes because I think this is from maybe the 90s. I don't think this is pushing into the 2000s. I think this is actually from the 90s. So 1881 is mimosa, iris, rose, freesia, violet, lily of the valley, jasmine and bergamot. That's just the top notes. Middle notes are chamomile, iris, narcissus, galbanum, geranium, coriander, jasmine, Brazilian rosewood, orange blossom and tuberose. Woo, okay, ready for the base? Base notes: musk, sandalwood, cedar, vanilla and amber. And honestly, this, some people describe it as quite a mumsy kind of scent, and I understand that because it really does smell 90s. It's powdery, but it's also incredibly soothing and calming because it has this absolutely delicious chamomile note in it. It's got a lovely vanilla in it as well. It's a really, really pretty perfume. It's really strong. It's properly strong the way that perfumes were in the 80s and 90s, even though it's like, it sounds weird to say that it's delicate when I've just described it as dense and really strong, but it has a soft, fluffy pink, light pink feel about it, exactly like this nude colour, but it's also really long lasting. It creates quite a large scent bubble around you. I think the sillage is pretty impressive on this one. It's also ridiculously super cheap. I think I got this bottle for about £15 for a 30ml, and considering how strong it is, that's just amazing. It's kind of up there with things like Noir in terms of the intense muskiness, the strength and the longevity, while not being an overwhelming scent for you or the people around you. It's kind of magical. So yeah, this one for me, I get a lot of chamomile, I get iris and mimosa, and then and narcissus as well, and then there's just this kind of general floral aroma. There's really not much fruit in here, but there's a beautiful, deliciously dense soapy musk, and then a lovely sandalwood, and the vanilla really starts to pop through in the base. So yeah, I really, really love Cerruti 1881. It's such a good value and pretty perfume. But yeah, if you are someone who doesn't like more mature perfumes, to be honest, I'm not sure any of the musky florals will be any good for you if you don't like mature perfumes, but this one definitely has like a cozy, like it smells like someone you'd want to cuddle up with to comfort you, you know? Just love it, just love it. I know Claire Smith likes this one. I can feel like I remember her saying she wears it to bed sometimes, and it's just so cozy. It's beautiful. All right, next on the list. So I don't have the real thing, but this is a really good dupe. Okay, so this is Mamba Juice by Saffron London. If you're one of my subscribers, you've probably already seen me talk about this because I did like a proper review of this. And Mamba Juice is a excellent dupe of Christian Dior Pure Poison. So Pure Poison, the formulation that you get now with the purple top, that one is a little bit more jasmine heavy than this. This to me is a really yummy gardenia musk, and it's a gardenia that is really creamy but doesn't veer into the buttery gardenia, and that's I struggle with buttery gardenia. So this one for me is just like super mega musky. It smells very soapy, like a real bar soap, and the same with Pure Poison. And it's a delicious, clean but very sexy white floral musk. And it's got this kind of slight warmth in it. It's hard to explain. So a lot of other white musks and a lot of other white floral white musks, they take on like a cool and crisp smell. This is not that at all. This is another really dense scent. It smells thick. It actually feels like it has a texture to it. Oh, but it's so pretty. So the notes for this one, I'm just taking the notes from actual Pure Poison at this point because I can't get notes for the Saffron perfumes. But Pure Poison lists jasmine, orange, bergamot and Sicilian mandarin at the top. Middle notes are gardenia and orange blossom. Base notes are sandalwood, white amber and cedar with white musk. So I would say I get musk, loads of it, and then I get really nice sandalwood, and I get a lot of really creamy, thick gardenia with a very kind of soapy but not shampooey orange blossom, and then a bit of jasmine. So in the real Pure Poison, the current version anyway, that one is more like musk, jasmine, sandalwood, and then gardenia, and then orange blossom. But in the deep dry down of the current Pure Poison, it smells exactly like this, Mamba Juice. I just don't really have to go through quite as much jasmine with this one. So, and according to some people, the original Pure Poison had a bit less jasmine and the gardenia was a bit higher up in the mix. So I think that's what this is a dupe of. Now, just to mention quickly, I think Rive, I can't remember the name of it, but I think Rive have, is it called Pure Pearl? Might be. I think they've got a really popular Pure Poison dupe if you can't get this, because you really can't get Saffron outside of the UK, but it's just amazing. And I also feel like, this is going to sound so random, but I feel like there's something about Pure Poison that almost smells like it's got a slight powdery cacao or something in it. There's something that smells ever so slightly sweet, a bit sugary and edible in a kind of, in quite an unusual way that doesn't necessarily match what the notes say. And I know that in the Elixir version, they actually list a cacao note. So I'm just throwing that out there because I think this one is actually slightly more unusual than you might think. And it has a warmth and a just something magical just sitting with the florals and the musk. Yeah, it's actually amazing. And I really love this dupe. I actually like it more than the current and the real Pure Poison, if you can imagine. So, another dupe actually. These aren't all dupes. This is an interesting one because sometimes I really don't like this and other times I really do. It's very much hormonal for me as to how I feel about this particular perfume. This is Rive Destiny. Just a tiny wee bottle. This is a dupe for the original Libre from Yves Saint Laurent. I happen to think that the Destiny version, so this Le Rive one, is easier to wear. It's not quite as sharp as the original Libre. So I do quite like the original Libre, but I do think there's something in it that's just slightly head splitting. I think the lavender in it's quite sharp, and I think the jasmine is quite sharp and a bit screechy. And then the orange blossom is incredibly soapy. It's like one step towards shampooey soapy. But I really do also think that Libre, in nearly all of its forms, smells like a white bar soap of some variety, like a fancy bar soap. I was surprised at how soapy Libre was. But this is the version that I actually kind of like best. So the notes here are mandarin orange, blackcurrant and petitgrain in the top. So you've got that slight greenness going on. Middle notes, lavender, orange blossom and jasmine. Base notes are vanilla, musk, ambergris and cedarwood. So you have got a very slight saltiness, a huge dose of musk here, a bit of vanilla. But for me, this is like an orange blossom, jasmine, lavender, right? With a ton of musk. And I feel like orange blossom and jasmine are the strongest notes here. And it's why sometimes I can't deal with it, because I find the jasmine really strong. And orange blossom I'm really fussy about, but I kind of like the soapiness of this one. And when I'm in the mood for it, I really enjoy it. And I think it smells kind of mature, but in a nice way. It smells like a lady, like a really classy lady in a high-powered job. That's what I think Libre generally smells like, especially the original. So yeah, this is super musky. It really smells very soapy to me, but it's also really good. And I think this is really good. If you find the original Libre just too much to handle, but you like the general scent profile, this is probably the one to try. This one's super random because I've got loads of Lush perfumes, but very few of them actually list having musk. This is one of the few perfumes from there that I've actually seen musk in the list of ingredients. So this is a light musk in here, though. This is probably maybe the lightest musk here. The least bar soapy, but still musky. This is a very tangy floral, and it's super pretty. So this is Keep It Fluffy from Lush. Now, if you aren't a Lush person, if you're not a bit of a Lushy, this might be a bit of a struggle for you. But if you already like Lush perfumes, I think you'd probably love this one, because for me, this is a very tangy, ylang musky floral. It does also have a big fat dose of like a very jammy rose, which I think is where the tanginess is really coming from here. They list the notes as ylang, musk, rose, vanilla, jasmine and orris root. And I would say, I mean, actually, to be honest, that's pretty much the order I would put these in. I would have ylang is the strongest note, followed by musk. And then you've got the rose from Rose Jam. And I think it's one of the reasons I like this one so much, because I don't actually like wearing Rose Jam. It doesn't really work on my skin. It just, I like it on other people. I like it in products, but I don't like it as a perfume. But I like the jammy rose bit. I just don't like the geranium and some of the other notes that are in that perfume. This one, the vanilla really comes out the more it dries down on your skin, and it's just so pretty. But yeah, it's quite an unusual one. Very, very musky rose. And it's like, if you think of something like Cashmere, or even like Far Away, or Ylang in Gold, it has that same kind of ylang with a bit of vanilla and something tangy going on, but it's an incredibly natural take on those kind of scents, you know. It's like an essential oil version of those kind of perfumes, and I just honestly think it's so beautiful. It's such a lovely perfume. I really can't wait to get wearing this again. Smelling it now, I'm like, maybe I'll put this on in a minute. Maybe I'm going to check and see how my other perfume's doing, and I might have to put this one on. I just absolutely love it. This is one that doesn't necessarily work very well for me, but I wanted to talk about it because I do think it's a really good perfume if you like peony. This is a musky, woody peony. So this is Terre de Lumiere from L'Occitane, and this is the l'eau version. So nowadays, this I mean, and it is, honestly, it's such a shame. This particular perfume comes in a completely different bottle, and the bottle is nowhere near as cool as this old bottle. But the joy of this one is you can definitely get this one super easily on eBay, which is where I got this. I didn't pay full price for it. I think it probably only cost me £20. And it meant I got to like test it out, really wear it. And this definitely is like a super musky peony perfume. And weirdly enough, it doesn't list any woods, but it smells a bit like there's a cashmere wood in this to me. It has that kind of aroma. So the notes of this one are bergamot, blackcurrant and pink pepper in the top. Mid notes are peony and bitter almond. The base notes are musk and tonka bean. So the thing is, I keep trying to find peony perfumes that work for me, and they just tend not to. And I do find peony just a little bit screechy, and I just have to accept that. This is the closest I think I've got to like a proper peony perfume. This definitely has the L'Occitane Viennale. It doesn't have the museum, the Victoria and Albert. It has the DNA, I should say, of L'Occitane. It also has a hint of the original Terre de Lumiere, which I have, which I love. That's like a delicious honey, lavender and almond perfume. So this has a bit of that delicious almond that you get with the original Terre de Lumiere. But it has this really pretty, sort of very pale pink smelling peony. Like I said, I find peony a little bit screechy, so it's not really the greatest thing for me. But this definitely has a thick, slightly dense... It's almost like, Chanel Chanso Tendre has this kind of really nice, almost pushing towards body lotiony, creamy, like yummy smell, while also smelling fresh, If you think of that kind of vibe, this has that kind of lovely musky base, but with a slight creaminess, but then it has a really fresh, bright, spring-like peony in it as well. So I really think that this is a good one. If you don't care what the bottle looks like, you can get these new. But if you like this bottle particularly, which I certainly do, then I would say have a look on eBay and see what you can find, because I think this is super pretty if you like peony. This is such a cute little tiny baby. If you watched my spring video, you will have already seen this one. So this is Love at First Glow, and this is by Jennifer Lopez. This is just a little tiny kind of... I think she made this for Valentine's Day, and I think it might have been aimed at kind of teenage girls. Looking at the advertising. I just think it's super pretty. I really like it. This is a very soapy rose, but it's really delicate, this one. It hasn't got the same bombastic, like, damn, that's strong, kind of vibe that the other glow perfumes can have, because I mean, not all of them at all. Like the more recent flankers have kind of got weaker and weaker and weaker. But the original glow is an absolute monster, and Miami Glow will fill an entire room. This one, much more subtle, much more gentle, much more delicate. It smells like a young pink rose. Got a kind of rose watery, like the nicest rose watery kind of smell. But there's a lovely bit of vanilla that sweetens it up, and that comes out the more you wear it. But it's got a hardcore soapy musk, which obviously... like all of the glow perfumes smell either like a body lotion or a soap. They're super soapy perfumes. I think that Jennifer Lopez just loves soapy perfumes, and I like soapy perfumes too. This one though, because it's rose and it's also got a big dose of peach, but it's a very gentle, not sickly, not syrupy, not 80s peach, like a modern peach. And when you first spray it, you might be like, yeah, it's okay. But if you just let it dry down on your skin, and it just gets better and better the more it dries down. And it's one that I fell in love with kind of slowly rather than straight away. So the notes are peach, neroli, bergamot in the top, rose, freesia and jasmine in the mid. And the base notes are musk, woodsy notes and vanilla. But in the main, I get a really kind of clean, watery, juicy peach. A beautiful rose. I feel like the freesia, the neroli and the jasmine are what are making this like super kind of white bar soapy along with the musk. But then you definitely get that vanilla as it dries down, and it's just really pretty, really easy to wear. Oh, another one that now I'm smelling it, I'm like, oh, I'd quite like to wear that. So yeah, I will have to pull that one out and wear that soon, because it's a really nice spring perfume as well. Okay, next up. Lanvin have some perfumes that have fabulous musks in. Occasionally, I feel like that they've got like ones that I find a bit screechy, but the musks that I have, I really enjoy, and they really do smell like bar soaps. They're really thick, creamy, yummy. This is a iris perfume, despite being called Blue Orchid. Really pretty bottle. This is one that's actually in my declutter bin at the moment, but I say bin, it's in a box, because it kind of reminds me of two things. Although smelling it now, I'm like, why am I getting rid of this? This is super pretty. But the last time I wore it, it kind of made me crave wearing something else. And two other things, in fact, because I feel like this smells like a bit of a mashup of a couple of different perfumes. But I also think it's really pretty, and it's such good value. You get this beautiful bottle, you get a lovely light scent. It's not quite a skin scent, but it is very delicate. And I would describe this one actually as ever so slightly ethereal. It's that kind of vibe. But it also has quite a thick musk in it. So it's really, really pretty. But it's like super cheap. Like, you can get it for so cheap, it's crazy. So the top notes are lemon and apple, and it's a green apple. The middle notes are iris and orchid, and the base notes are musk and tonka bean. So for me, this was way sweeter than I was expecting it to be, because obviously green apple's pretty tart and lemon is very tart. But there's a lot of tonka in this, and the musk is super pretty, and then the iris is the dominant floral. I do get a bit of orchid, but it's mainly iris to me. Oh, see, again, like now I'm smelling this, I'm like, this is why sometimes things stay in boxes for ages, because if I'm in a certain mood, they smell delicious. But this one, and I don't know whether I'm completely insane, but I do feel like if you mixed up, I was talking about it earlier, Chanel Chance Au Tendre with a little hint of the Baccarat Rouge DNA, like, but more in, you know, the Guest Dare, not Get Dare. No. If you mixed up the DNA of Chanel Chance Au Tendre with a little bit of that sort of Baccarat Rouge general profile, more specifically the Guess Seductive Red. So if you kind of mashed those two things together a bit and put a heavy iris in there with it, I feel like you'd get something like this. It kept making me think of Seductive Red when I was wearing it, but the overall profile when I first smelt it really made me think of Chanel Chance Au Tendre. And I have Seductive Red, and then I have, I nearly put it in this video actually, I also have Sarah Jessica Parker's Stash Privé, which is the little pink one, and that really reminds me a lot of Chance Au Tendre, so I have that one instead. But this is really pretty. It's quite, I mean, it is quite feminine because of its sweetness, but I think it's like probably a really easy reach, especially in slightly warmer weather, because it's not so heavy and thick that it would be a problem to wear when it was quite warm. I absolutely love this bottle as well. I feel like this one might start making a comeback. I'm going to try and wear it again and see how I feel. All right, what have we got next? Oh yeah, nobody else really seems to talk about this perfume. This is one that was the signature scent of one of my friends in university, but I've only just bought it for myself recently, and it really takes me back. But there's something about this one that I find magical, but it definitely dries down to be super bar soapy, and it's really musky. So this is Paul Smith Extreme for women. If you can see, it's got this bit on the side. So I'll keep it on an angle so you can see that, because it makes the bottle a little bit more interesting. This is a strange perfume. This one is quite dense. It has a really thick musk. It is woody, definitely. It has some greenness, but it's thinned out because it's got some tea in this one. But for me, I get a huge amount of freesia here. I think this smells like a freesia musk, but a very sweet, slightly fruity freesia musk. And even more so the more this dries down. To the point where in the deep dry down of this, it makes me start to think of things like Cerruti 1881, of Lanvin's Oxygen, which is like a super musky, I mean, that one's like an iris perfume. And so, yeah, I don't think I'd ever really considered that this was quite musky until I owned this bottle and started actually wearing it. I wore it to work and I was like, this is musky. And in that beautiful creamy bar soap way. So the full set of notes here are green tea, blackcurrant, bergamot, and mandarin orange. The middle notes are cassia, freesia, and musk, lily of the valley. And then the base notes are cedar, sandalwood, vetiver, patchouli, and amber. I'm not a fan of patchouli, generally speaking, and I get a greenness with this, but I don't get like a strong patchouli at all, which is interesting because it's voted as being like one of the highest notes here, and that is not my experience of this perfume at all. It's really interesting. This also has the kind of woody smell in it when you first spray it that I think smells a little bit like pencil shavings. It's got that kind of cedary note in it. But when that dries down, and also once it dries down, the blackcurrant starts to calm down a little bit because that's quite strong at first. And then I get a lovely tea, freesia and musk kind of scent with just a hint of a blackcurranty fruitiness. I might just find this super comforting because one of my best mates used to wear it, you know, and so it reminds me of like really fun times at university of going out and getting a bit drunk with my mates. And in fact, I think I bought this, well, she bought this one when she was with me, and we went into, I don't even know what the shop would have been at the time, but you know, Debenhams or something. And I remember her buying this. So like, yeah, I've got fond memories of it, but I do still think this is super wearable. It's like totally signature scent worthy. But yeah, I don't really see people talk about this one, but it's one that I actually think is quite underrated. I think it's really pretty. This one kind of baffles me because it doesn't list having musk in it, but I just can't believe there's not musk in this perfume. I really do think that this is pretty musky. So this is Obsession Nights. Oh, look at the, like, you can see the bottle is blue, but the liquid inside is blue too. It's just so pretty. So I really just love Obsession Night. Obsession Night, for me, it kind of fits into that same category as something like Cerruti 2021, 1881 even, because it doesn't. Not that they smell the same, but they both smell cozy, comforting, snuggly. They're just absolutely delicious. So Obsession Night is not supposed to be a vampy, nighttime, sexy perfume. I think it's supposed to be like a soothing perfume, you know, that kind of nighttime scent. And I just think there's something magical about this one. So it's also incredibly affordable, which is awesome because I think Calvin Klein Obsession range used to be quite expensive, and obviously now you can get this one for about £25. It's just fabulous. So the notes are white flowers, bitter orange and angelica, bergamot, mandarin orange in the top. Middle notes are gardenia, jasmine, lily of the valley and rose. The base notes are cashmere wood, vanilla, sandalwood, tonka bean and amber. For me, this is a angelica and white flower perfume with a hint of bitter orange, a ton of cashmere wood, a lovely kind of slightly custardy, creamy, light vanilla, and a lot of musk. Like, I really do think that this is super musky. I mean, I don't know whether it's just that some of these florals have come out musky, but I'm quite sure there's a musk in this. And it's a good musk. So yeah, you definitely do get that orangey vibe, but it doesn't necessarily smell just like orange blossom. It's much more interesting than that. I think it's got a really strong angelica note, which is a note that I really enjoy. But it's not an angelica that's too green, you know? It's like super floral, almost in a spring-like way, but it's also sort of denser and more musky because it's got a real sort of powdery cashmere wood and then a super beautiful musk, and it just a general kind of pretty white floral smell. And yeah, it's hard to say what they mean when they say white florals, but if you think of something like Philadelphia's or mock orange, like something that just smells almost like springtime, rather than like a strong orange blossom or a strong jasmine or necessarily a strong gardenia. Although the gardenia is probably one of the things that makes this feel a bit more creamy and musky. But I just think it's delicious. Really, really pretty. A really, really good value perfume. And then last on my list, this is one that everyone on YouTube was saying was sexy, and I fell for the hype and I bought it, and I was like, well, this just smells like soap. And the reason I thought that is because this is a musk bomb. And actually, the thing this reminds me of the most is not because it actually smells like it, but if you're trying to get an idea of the general realm this perfume lives in, it's closest here to Pure Poison. So this is so tiny. My little 30ml bottle of Versace Crystal Noir. This is, to this day, and probably forevermore, is the only Versace in my collection, because I don't really get on too well with Versace house DNA. I don't really like their perfumes most of the time. This one I smelled and I was like, it just smells like soap. I don't understand why everyone's saying it's so sexy. And then I wore it, and it's a little bit like with Amethyst that you'll see when I talk about the fruity musks. That's another one that everyone said was sexy. I got it and I was like, smells like a bar soap. Why is everyone saying this is sexy? And then I wore it, and once I had in my head, and the same with this, once I knew it smelled like really musky and soapy, I could kind of come at it from a different angle without those kind of expectations of me finding it sexy. I'm just like, I'm just going to find this soapy and musky. So then I wore it, and I really enjoyed how soapy and musky it was, because I like soapy musky perfumes, as you can probably tell from my collection. And then I was lying around with my husband, and he told me I smell sexy. And he has said the same thing about Amethyst. So there's obviously something about a thick, musky perfume. And I know men think Pure Poison is sexy too. So there's obviously something going on there. This particular one, this is the Eau de Parfum. Now, I've had the Eau de Parfum and the Eau de Toilette. Part of the reason I kept this one, to be honest, is because I don't like the 50ml bottles, and that's what I had of the Eau de Toilette, because the lids are ridiculously big. So I like this 30ml better, and this is a strong perfume, and I don't need much of it. And also, I feel like the EDP just worked better on my skin, but they are incredibly similar. Really, really good. The notes that you get for this now say pepper, ginger and cardamom in the top. Middle notes coconut, gardenia, orange blossom and peony in the middle. And then the base notes are sandalwood, musk and amber. On the old version of the EDT, they listed fig, and I can't remember the other notes. I had a carded sample of that one, which I think I still have somewhere, which actually had the set of the old EDT notes. And the old EDT to me smells like the modern version of the EDP. So there's something in this that makes me think of fig, but it also has a coconutty vibe that I think smells a bit like coconut yogurt, but not too sour because it's quite sweetened. It's got a slightly sugary vanillic sweetness in it, but it's gardenia. It's like, for me, really lovely, dense, thick, musky gardenia with a slight creamy coconut. It's almost like, it's really hot. It was almost slightly salty in a way. If you told me there was ambergris in here, I'd be like, oh yeah, like a sort of slightly salty salted coconut creamy yogurt or something. And then a bit spicy. It's really actually an incredibly pretty and lovely perfume to wear, and it's one of the things that I wear when I want to smell like an absolute boss, and when I want to smell chic but I want to smell clean, and I don't want to irritate anyone with my scent, but I want people to think, oh yeah, she smells real good, yeah, she smells really good, in like quite a professional setting. This is the kind of perfume that I'd go for, and I'd probably do the same with my dupe of Pure Poison. And I have been known to wear my dupe of Libre in the same kind of, context. So but it is a musk bomb. It's a musky gardenia, but it has a slightly different tone. It smells colder to me, even though it's got spices in it. It doesn't smell quite as kind of warming in a weird way as Pure Poison, but I think that they are. I almost wonder if you like one, then you might like the other. Maybe. But yeah, I mean, this I think is a good one to end on because I really do think it's a beautiful floral musk with some spices and a little bit of coconut. It's just really, really pretty. And honestly, I will continue wearing this thinking that there is something in it that smells a bit like fig, because I really do. And I think that kind of matches the kind of colour as well, that it's just got a sort of coconut fig musky gardenia smell to it, and it's beautiful. So yeah, personally I would recommend the current EDP if you can get it. And I think this is a bottle from 2021 or 2022, because I had the modern version of the EDT, and I just sort of think this one is a bit nicer. I know nearly everyone in the world seems to disagree with me. All the people on YouTube prefer the EDT, but personally I think the EDP is nicer. But that's just me. Anyway, I hope you guys like this. I hope that they inspire you to try some musky florals. Let me know if you've got any good musky florals. Let me know if you have any of these and what you think of them. And next up, and the last in my musk series, will be my fruity musks. And I live for a fruity musk. They're also, whether he really knows it or not, fruity musks are my husband's favourite. So this will basically be a list of all the stuff that he kind of goes mad for. But I won't lie, he really liked this one. Bye, guys.